with AM Live on TSPN, and we're here with John Stettler, and you're with the Amador
County Amateur Radio Club.
That's right. Excellent.
Good morning.
Good morning,
nice to
John.
be here.
How are you, John?
Good to have you.
Good.
Good. And you have your radio today.
I brought a couple of them to show you what it's all about.
Well, first of all, tell us what the club is.
The club is a group of licensed amateurs who enjoy amateur radio as a hobby, and there are a whole host of aspects to it, from talking locally to talking around the world. There is amateur radio television.
Oh, wow.
There's talking to the International Space Station. There's bouncing signals off the moon. There's bouncing signals off meteors. All kinds of interesting aspects, and the spectrum that we can use is quite broad. And so the reason that it got started was the experimentation, and we still do experimentation on places to verify the usefulness and the validity of different parts of the radio spectrum.
Did you say licensed amateurs? You don't need to be licensed to do this, right?
We're all licensed.
You're all licensed. So
In order to use the pieces of radio spectrum that we're allowed to have, we're licensed
by who?
the FCC.
Okay. And that's because they don't want anybody getting out there and using it for things they're not supposed to use it for, right?
Exactly. And if you want a good example, when Citizens Band Radio started in the whatever it was, 60s, 70s, I was in it in the 60s and 70s. That was started out to be a license, but it didn't require any examination. It just filled out a piece of paper, and it exploded, and it was uncontrollable. The government couldn't control who was doing it, whether they were following the rules or anything else, and that was a perfect example of why they needed to continue to license us with the frequencies that we're allowed to have. It needs to be regulated and controlled, and we agree with that.
So it's not something new. It's something that your people and members all agree with, and that it should be done.
This is from the very early days of amateur radio. You're going back into the turn of the century.
Okay.
The turn of the other century.
Yeah.
Now, some of the equipment you might use.
Yeah, tell us about this.
Well, I brought a little handheld radio. This is a FM radio, and it works on a couple of, actually 3 bands, and it's a good way for people to get started in the hobby if they're interested in the hobby. It works primarily off repeaters so that you get a little better coverage. Our club has 2 repeaters that give us broad coverage through the lower part of the valley and up here, of course. And it's a nice way to get started.
And you have to purchase that through a magazine because none of the local people will carry something like this, right?
It's enough of a specialty product that, yes, you've either got to go to the big city to one of the dealers or do it catalog online purchasing.
We better talk about this other stuff because we're going to run out of time real fast. There's so much information here.
The point of the story is we're going to have field day on the 22nd and 23rd from noon to noon. We're going to be up across the road from Daffodil Hill on Ramshorn Grade, and the public's invited to come out and take a look at us practicing emergency preparedness.
Great.
And we're doing this in concert with clubs all across the country. It's a national event that we do every year, and if you want to come up and see how we do emergency communication, come up and visit us. And here's an example of a piece of equipment that I worked up based on a model from other people who are smarter than I am, that we can take anywhere. This one has a battery in it. It's self-powered and it works, but it is very limited power. So we said in there are situations where you're not going to be available for any kind of power, and may not be near your truck to use your car battery.
Yeah.
So if you still needed to do something and you needed power, what could you do? Well, you could take a radio, put a speaker on it, and hook it up to any antenna, whether you use a mag mount on your truck or you throw a piece of wire up in a tree. There's your antenna. But in the back is a battery that's the same size battery as those portable car chargers.
All right, John, hold that thought.
Yeah,
we have to
we're
go
gonna
to
take
a
a
hard
break.
break right now. We're going to come back with our final segment. We'll give you a little more time to talk about this.
Yes. Show off
Good.
the battery. Good.
We'll be right back.